Hello everybody and welcome back to BiggggyD's Arcade. I'm happy everyone's joined me for my 24th Chill and Chat live today on Memorial Day weekend, and I'm happy everyone's made it. I know people are pretty busy this weekend with family and friends and outdoor events, so anyone that's made it, I appreciate it that you guys were here with me for this 24th Chill and Chat live on air. And are able to participate in the chat tonight. We've got a lot of really good topics to discuss. We've had a lot of information coming out of the home arcade front that I wanted to cover in this stream this evening. But I want to first say hi to everyone in the chat. It looks like we've got a pretty full house, packed house tonight of people that want to watch. So I want to say hi to everyone that has chatted so far. It looks like Carl O. I know he was wanting to make this tonight. Not sure if he's gonna make it. I haven't seen him in the chat yet. So if you don't, Carl, I appreciate the message, and hopefully you can catch the replay and comment on what you'd like to share with everyone in the comment section later on. Papa Brad's Gaming, good to see you, Papa Brad. I'm glad you made it. A-Tran Fanatic, good to see you. Local here to the Phoenix, Arizona area. Good to see you, A-Tran. And Made in Canada with the beer glasses. I hope you're having a good Sunday, Made in Canada. And Gregory, hi guys and girls. And he's also commenting, Papa Brad, on his video. I did watch your walk and sock this evening. It was pretty good. And I'm sure that, you know, people will appreciate that video you did with the apology, not just a written apology, but an actual video. I think that will go a lot farther. And hopefully people will accept that apology and that you made that mistake. Brooklyn Menace, he's here with us as well. Good to see you, Brooklyn. Glad you made it. I did not get to see your live stream on Friday. For whatever reason, I have not signed up for your membership yet. So I didn't actually get to watch that or see what happened on Friday. Super Dimensional, he's here. He's just here for the one-up drama. I'm going to kind of steer clear of the drama. I know we've got a lot of drama on various channels right now, and we all know what that's about. But I don't want to use this channel as a platform for that kind of talk. I want to keep it as much as we can in regards to home arcades or gaming. In that way, we're having fun, and we're not deterring anyone from wanting to participate or be a part of this. And not everyone wants or enjoys that drama. So I personally going to try and steer clear of it. I do have my opinions on it, but I don't think this is the place I want to do it, is on this channel. Maybe personal discussions, messages, things like that is probably a better place for me to discuss those types of things. Mickey Yoons joined us. Good to see you, Mickey. Miami Tiger Arcade. Good to see you, Miami Tiger. Glad you made it. And let's see here. Oh, Steps Gaming. Good to see you, Steps. Glad you made it. And I've been liking your iiRcade content you've been putting out. All really good stuff. And Jason M. Good to see you, Jason. Happy you've made it this evening. Happy Memorial Day. So I think that's it. If I missed anyone, I apologize. May have not seen your name here through the list of chats, but I wanted to say hi to everyone that I could. But let's go ahead and get into the news, because we've got a lot of news that I wanted to discuss this evening, and it's mainly going to start with iiRcade, because lately I've covered a lot of iiRcade. Ever since I got this Retro Mania Wrestling several months ago from P-Dub's Arcade Loft, I've been really heavy in the iiRcade content. And the reason is I've really enjoyed the iiRcade, and I thought that things were heading in the right direction for the company, but we got some new information during their Game Days live stream this last week, which wasn't the best of news. Some people are taking as it's not an issue, it's not a problem. I see it as a problem. I see it as a failure on their part, and I want to get into that. And I'm not trying to be too harsh. I'm just trying to lay out the facts and the news. And even whether, and I put this in a comment, whether I like the news or not, whether I'm a fan of iiRcade or not, I still want to report the news accurately the way it is. I don't want to change it or create a narrative or do anything like that. I want to give you guys the raw, hard facts of what's going on with these companies and home arcade in general. And John gave us some updates during the Game Days live stream. And one of the most important updates that we got from him, or probably the most concerning of information we got during this live stream, was the fact that they are now displaced. They're not in an office anymore. They're moving everything within the office into storage units, and they're essentially office-less right now. They don't have a home base. They don't have a place to work out of. I even brought up the fact, you know, can Michael, for instance, work from home and still do a lot of the media and the marketing for iiRcade to keep them going in the meantime? And he pretty much shot down that possibility. He says he wants this stuff going on in the office. He did say they will be working from home, but we're not going to see them working from home. So we're really going to be radio silence right now from iiRcade. They're basically going to take 1 to 2 months is what they're predicting, away from social media, away from marketing, away from these live streams and anything that, you know, we use to gather information on how they're doing or where they're going. We're not going to get that anymore from iiRcade starting on Friday. And this could last 2 months, maybe longer, depending on how long it takes them to find a new home or a new office. And this is not going to be an easy task because they didn't properly prepare for this. They were given notice. They were given sufficient notice by the ownership of the new, they changed ownership at their office building. It went to new ownership, and they gave them sufficient notice that everyone in the building was being asked to leave. So it wasn't just iiRcade, it was all the other tenants were all asked to leave because they're going to be changing what this building is used for or who's going to be occupying it, and everyone's leaving. So at that point, when they received that information as the CEO of iiRcade, Jong, that is then his responsibility to find a new home, a new office, so it doesn't impact work, it doesn't impact the progress of the company. And so I had asked this hard question: why didn't you have a new office space lined up when you were given this notice? And it wasn't a very direct answer. He said he was out in Korea, South Korea during this time, and they had not a lot of time, but neither did any of the other tenants in that building. Also, there are contracts where they would require at least 60 days, maybe 90 days notice. It could have been as low as 30 days, but it would have had been at minimum 30 days. So, you know, there's an amount of time that he could have found a new home for iiRcade. But he's saying that he didn't have enough time. And then also there's a lot of stuff going on. He says that they're going crazy right now, were his words, quote, going crazy. And we're going to continue to go crazy until we're able to move everything out of this office into storage units. And then we can kind of reassess, reevaluate, and find a new home at that point. So it's just been handled very poorly by Jong, by the leadership at iiRcade. And the result is we're not going to hear anything from them for months. And they're not going to produce any new games or new licenses or new UI, new control panel. All this stuff is being put on hold right now. And us as the customers, as the fans of iiRcade, it's not fair to us that they're in this situation. You know, we spend our hard-earned money on the games on the cabinet, and they receive the income, they receive the profits, so they can make good decisions. And in this particular instance, they did not make a good decision. And yes, I am critical of them, and there's many out there that are not going to be critical of them, but I'm just laying out the facts. I'm laying out the points the way they are. And I know there's probably plenty of others out there that want to also put in their input in what they think's going on and how they feel about this. So let's just kind of look here at some of the comments, and I'm just kind of skim through these and see if I can find any on iiRcade in this particular situation. Steps Gaming said they may have not had a choice but to downsize, but if they keep going, I'm good. Can't complain with what I've got. So those are really good points, Steps. I'm really happy with my iiRcade. I'm happy with the games that I do have. And I was kind of prepared for this part is, you know, when I buy iiRcade games, I typically can play these on my At Games Legends Ultimate. I don't necessarily have to buy these on my iiRcade, but I do buy them on there because I do have the leaderboards. I have the ability to get updates. I have the online aspect of it, the online play where I can, call up a friend and play some of these games online. That's why I buy them. And if the company, if this goes downhill even farther and they end up closing their doors, those things are not going to be available to us anymore, I don't think. And so I'm not too high on even buying new games right now till I have a better idea of what's going on, where they're at, and are they going to be able to come out the other side and still keep this company going. But I hope that they do. And the one good thing we can say out of this is they are still in business. They are not out of business. So as long as they are still making money and their doors are open, there's still the possibility that they can get through this and get to the other side. I hope that they do. Miami Tiger Arcade said, UI update. I can't stand the door slamming sound effect. And I was hoping for a UI update as well. We had spoken about this last week. And I had also hoped that we were getting that UI. We found out that is not happening. That is not something that they have ready for us. And it won't obviously happen now until they come back, which will be at least, September likely. Let's see here if there's any other comments on this. Kevgret, time to properly prepare. Do you know what it takes to find a new lease? I do. It's not easy. And, they have to be more prepared in the fact, Kevgret, they need to look at the fine print on their contracts, and they need to look at what's worst case possibilities. If the contract says we only have 30 days and they find out later on that they're being asked to leave and they have 30 days, they should have already been prepared for that before then and said, okay, well, what happens if they do ask us out or we are asked to leave? What is our backup plan? What is plan B? Do we have a plan B? These are things that should have been thought out before this even occurred. And that's something you can do by looking at the contract and, better preparing for worst case possibilities far into the future, which they didn't do. And that's why we're left and they're left in this situation. And right here, Gregory says, why not buy new games? And this is kind of a decision I've made over the last couple of days. I'm kind of put a hold. They're putting a hold on us by, putting a hold on the business. I'm going to put a hold on buying games. I don't care if they're $1. I don't care if they're 50 cents. Right now, I'm not going to invest in new games until I see what happens with this whole situation and where they're heading. And if they are going to close eventually, what does that mean for the games that I own? Those are questions and things that I need to know before I start investing more money back into this iiRcade right now. But also wanted to take a look here. I had come up with this little slide of some images of the office building. This was the same room we got the live stream from Jung on Friday during the game days. And they had a terrific office, a really good looking office building. They put a lot of time and a lot of effort into to be attractive and to help sell this product. And it's just a sad day. And I had said that in the comment that it was a sad day for iiRcade on Friday because they're leaving this place that they spent all this time and put all this effort into. And who knows where they're going to end up and if they'll ever make it to a new home or a new office. We'll have to find out. Many believe that there's no possibility that this company could close their doors. But from what I'm hearing and what I'm taking is that it is a very real possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it is a real possibility. Steps is saying there is a chance they couldn't afford that large lease, and before the new owner took over, they took a quick exit and actually lucked out. They clearly were downsizing either way. From what I took Steps, it sounded like they weren't wanting to leave. They were forced out. They had no choice. And that's why they were left in this predicament, in this place where they had to rush everything out into a storage unit. They weren't ready for this happening or something like this happening, which they could have been. Jason M says, I'm on hold buying anything new with iiRcade. And that's exactly where I'm at, Jason, right now. I would like to continue to be a fan and keep buying games. But I also have to look at my pocketbook and I have to make responsible decisions myself I can't just, spend endless amount of money on something that may not last. Gregory says, Biggie, once you buy the games, they are yours forever. So why not support them in their time of need? And that's what I bought Tiger Heli last week and paid full price for it. I wanted to support them. And that is part of it. And that's why I do it. But I don't want to support bad decisions and bad business. And that's, where they're at right now, unfortunately. I know that kind of sounds harsh, but that's what they've been experiencing and what they've relayed to us on Friday. And Miami Tiger says the games will always be on your cab. So yeah, I think we can always play the games that we buy, but big part of the reason why I buy them is the online, the leaderboards, the online cooperative online play and things of that sort. And those things I don't believe would continue after, if the company did shut their doors. Would that continue? I don't believe it would. And Brooklyn Menace is here. He said, do you think we will see new games next Friday? It sounded like there's no new games. There's no new updates for at least 2 months. So it'll be, end of August before we hear anything, probably at the earliest, is what I'm taking. He said 1 month, but then he kind of corrected himself and said it's going to likely be 2 months. And you got to think all the effort they're taking to get all this into the storage unit, then has to take all that effort to get it into the new office as well. So that's going to take time too. So it's not just the 1 to 2 months to find the new place. There's time after that to move into the new place. It's just going to really, they were on this path to success and it sounded like things were going really well, but we didn't get the behind the scenes information until Friday. And, that kind of threw them off path, and they're way off path now, and they got to get back. And that's going to be hard. It's going to be a tough, long road to getting back on that path. Jason M says, I've supported them significantly. Let's see what happens. I do know they've been wanting to dramatically increase their user base very rapidly, and I hope that they pursue this so they can get more licenses. And I definitely agree with you. I 100% agree. I hope that they get the resources back that they need to continue and to get these licenses and the things that we want. And what makes us buy these are the big games, the big licenses, and they'll need those resources to get that. Now, they do have a lot of stock on the Retro Mania Wrestling. They said they still have some of it left. He said that they originally were going to stop this on May the 9th, but he said, what the heck, let's just keep it going. And then I think they got the news on they're not going to have a new place. So now they're probably really wanting to get rid of these. They're still continuing the $299. So if you haven't bought one, I still think this is a killer deal. Go out and get the console. They're not making any money on the arcade cabinet. That's actually something you can get a bargain on right now, is the arcade cabinet, which includes some free games. We even got a new free game this week called Hex. It's like an old looking, like 8-bit looking video game. But there's a lot of free games that you can get with it. And I'm saying don't buy new games, or I'm not personally, but definitely if you can get your hands on the arcade cabinet, I would, because that is something they're probably losing money on, or they're definitely not making any money on. And that's going to be a good deal for you. But then anything that's left over that they don't sell before this time they have to be out, they're going to have to move into storage units, is what it's sounding like. So they're literally going and they're renting storage units for what inventory they have left over, what furniture they have in the building, things like that. Kevgret says, yo, dude, I finished up Jurassic Park last night, a very good game. And you have to let us know what Jurassic Park that is. Is that going to be the pinball or the arcade game? And they're talking about some, it looks like VR, Fisherman's Tale last night, and I saw there was a Jurassic Park on VR as well. GG said, hi, Biggie. I think iiRcade will be back. I bought about 100 games on sale to support the company. That's really cool of you, GG. And, if we were to all do this, right? Let's say the entire community went on our iiRcade tonight and we all bought 100 games. Is that going to be enough? Is that going to be enough to put them over the hump to get them into a place now more quickly? I just don't know. I don't know how bad their finances are right now, but man, it doesn't look good. And I just don't know if these games are going to be enough. Is it going to be enough? Miami Tigers talking about Hex kind of sucks. I didn't, it's a free game. I'm never going to complain about free games. But, if I play it and it's not very good, I'll say the same thing. And he's talking about the PSVR 2. I've seen, many out there playing that. I've noticed a lot about with the home arcade community is a lot of people are playing different various things other than their arcades right now, whether it be PSVR 2 or handhelds or, whatever the case may be, old retro NES, SNES games. Everyone's looking at other, things to play, especially for the iiRcade community, because the news is going to slow down. The new games are going to slow down. What are we going to spend most of our time playing and most of our energy talking about during this period, these next 2 months? Mitchell B says, buy games while they're on sale. Even if things go bad, you have the games to play. And that's one good way to look at it. I'll let you guys know. If I buy another game, I'll let you know if I do. If I stick to this, I'm on hold till they're off hold. We'll see if I stick with it. Steps Gaming is saying that the cabinet at $299 is amazing just for the hardware, and it really is. I mean, what you're getting. Also, try and get Best Buy to price match. That way you can get the free shipping. I know that's what Steps Gaming did, and that makes it 75% of the cost through iiRcade. So you're even getting a even more incredible deal. Kevgret says he enjoys 200 plus games forever on his iiRcade. Now, this is one game that I was a little bit excited about, was Brock the Investigator. It is a beat-em-up game. I'd watched Nix play it this last Friday. And it is a very good-looking game. I think the graphics look great on it. I think it would be one that I would want to play on the arcade because it is a beat-em-up game. And it's a long game, too. It looks like it's got a lot to it, some RPG elements to it. Something I would definitely like to try out and play. And let's see if there's any other comments here I wanted to check out. Gregory's just saying Rally Racer is great if you guys want to check that one out. Now, my last subject here on the iiRcade right now, or at least for this evening on my live stream, is going to be about Glen's control panel. I know for the last 2 weeks now, I have talked about this control panel because it was something I was really excited about. But as the weeks have passed, we 2 weeks ago, it sounded like from Glen, he's like, I should have pricing out the next week. Then the next week came and we didn't get pricing. And then he said the following week, I've got everything done on my end. I'm just waiting for iiRcade. So the control panel's ready to go. He's just waiting on iiRcade to make the announcement. And then we got this news on Friday that they're on hold for 2 weeks. So that means the control panel is also on hold for 2 more months. I mean, so, early September, late August, maybe we'll get back in to talking about this control panel, but it was something I was really excited about. I know many others were as well. Whether or not iiRcade continues long into the future, this control panel has a lot of value because you can maybe mod the iiRcade and play games. And, there's just so many possibilities with this thing. And, at this point, he's in with iiRcade, so he's got to wait on them. It doesn't sound like he can just go out and sell this thing on his own. But I'll continue to monitor this situation. Anything that I hear, any news that I get on it, I'm definitely going to be covering that on this show. But hopefully we get this control panel sooner rather than later. But we don't have much on it right now. We don't even have that price. So we're going to move on now, guys, to Arcade 1-Up, because this has been a very heavy Arcade 1-Up week. We got a 1-Up date this week. And it was with Travis MCP, and he also had Eugene Jarvis on, DMAC, and we had one other guy as well. Let me see if I can bring that name up here for you guys because I can't remember it directly offhand. Let's see here. There was one other guy. I can't remember his name, the third guy, but he works in Miami. We've seen him before on doing promotional information, and when we were seeing the iiRcade, he was really good. Anyways, I wanted to cover a little bit about this recap and give you guys some information on what I took from it. And the first guest that they had on was Eugene Jarvis, which is a legend in the arcade realm. He's produced Robotron, Smash TV, Total Carnage. He's also worked with Raw Thrills. Most recently, he owns Raw Thrills, I believe. And that means he's helped them with Fast and the Furious. He's also going to be helping them with the new Big Buck Deluxe cabinet that we're going to be seeing this year. And maybe future Raw Thrills cabinets. But one thing that was really big and more important than what they were covering first, which was the Fast and the Furious, I think they kind of brought him on more so to kind of give us information behind the scenes on the Fast and the Furious and to kind of clean up some of the mistakes that they made and explain some of that for anyone that's interested in buying that cabinet. But Travis, he's much more of a community guy, and he knows what we want to hear. He knows the questions that we want to ask. And he tries to make sure that he does that in these interviews. And I don't know if they discussed this prior to the live stream and this interview, but they hinted at a game that's going to likely be coming soon. And I think when you get to this stage or this point, you're pretty far along, I think, in your discussions or your negotiations for making a title, for them to bring it up on an official live stream like this with the partner that would be helping them make the game. And let's listen to what they had to say.
I do want to ask one thing from you before you go, because you've graciously given us your time.
Okay.
I know a lot of people here are wondering, if you had your choice of game to bring to Arcade One Up next, from your incredible listing of games you've done, what would be like one you would love to work on and have people have in their home?
Well, I think one game that near and dear to my heart that we haven't gotten out there is in a couple years, Robotron 2084. I think might be cool, and while you're doing that, may as well throw Smash TV in there.
Listen, why not?
That's my dream combo.
All right. So what they're talking about, guys, is they're talking about Robotron Smash TV. So this would be either two cabinets or combined into one cabinet. One other game that I would like to see on here other than just Smash TV and Robotron would be Total Carnage. I think Total Carnage would fit on this cabinet just as well. And these would be twin stick shooting games. I played a lot of Robotron on my ALU, really fun game. I've played even more Smash TV, even better game, I think, in my eyes. And then one that I like even more than these two is Total Carnage. Now, the licensing gets kind of tricky on these. So Robotron and Smash TV was made by Williams Electronics. However, Total Carnage was not. It was made by Midway. Now, I was trying to do a little bit of research for you guys, and I've got some slides on that. And I want to get some discussion going because maybe you guys know a little bit more about these licensing type things than I do. But it sounds like we're for sure getting Robotron and Smash TV. We're getting those two games for sure. They're both Williams Electronics games, so it would be easy for them to make that happen. And then also, what are we getting as far as a cabinet design? Are we getting a Robotron cabinet, or are we getting a Smash TV cabinet with both titles? And my prediction and my thought is it's best just to do two totally different cabinet designs with the same emulation, the same games on either cabinet. So you'd have Robotron Smash on a Robotron cabinet, you'd have Robotron and Smash on a Smash cabinet, and you could buy either or. You know, you got your people that want more of the 80s look and style, and then you got your people that want more of your 90s look and style. And I fit more into the 90s. I was born in 82, so I didn't really get into the arcade scene or playing these until early 90s. So I'm going to be leaning more towards a Smash TV. But everyone's different in what they want. I've even heard some speculation of combining the cabinets and having on your left side Robotron, for instance, and on your right side Smash TV, kind of like a class of 81. I don't really like that idea. I don't think that's the greatest idea to do that because it wasn't a real cabinet design. I think they want to keep it as authentic or accurate as possible. One way they could do that is just make one of each and give people the choice of what they want. Papa Brad's Gaming says Robotron plays great on the ALU. Mitchell B says, not going to lie, they get Robotron and I will get it, period. If they do Smash TV, I'll get it, period. If they do Robotron, I'll have to see what it looks like. I'm not a huge fan of what I'm seeing on the original artwork on this Robotron. Thor's here. He says he is careful to phrase questions professionally because he won't get answers otherwise, but I don't think he questions are in any way a softball. And I heard some comments in there. Some people are fans of Travis, some are not. I'm a fan of Travis. I think he's for us as the community. He wants to get the answers that we want to hear. And he does phrase his questions, I agree, Thor, in ways that he's going to get the answer he wants. And he'll kind of push, too. Like, if he doesn't get the answer the first time, he'll push a little farther to try to get that answer for us. Sometimes he's not successful, but he at least tries. And Kevin Grad here, he says, we all know it's possible for 2 skins. Worst kept secret again. Yeah, we pretty much kind of always know what's coming ahead of the time. They're always kind of dropping hints, or they're giving certain creators, inside information. We always kind of figure this stuff out. Like, we've been talking about Robotron as a possibility for months now. And that started with Michael B. And Michael B's not just a fan of Robotron, but he does talk with some of the high ups in Arcade 1-Up. He gets, and he's privy to inside information here and there from time to time. And he probably learned of this possibility a long time ago, and that's why he started talking about it. But, this is no secret. We've been talking about this cabinet for a very long time. But one other thing that they had discussed, and this was a question I had brought up, was, are XLs still a thing? And Travis had brought my question up, and I took the screenshot. I thought this was really funny to get DMAC and that reaction he got whenever this question came up, because they probably don't want to disclose a lot of this stuff, but they get hit with these questions on a live stream. Sometimes they have to kind of think, and maybe in his head at this moment he's thinking, oh no, I didn't prepare for this question. How am I going to answer this right now? But they pretty much answered it with yes, XLs are still a thing. And then it sounded like, man, it bothers me. I can't remember his name right now, guys. Really bothers me. But this gentleman in the middle, which I actually think of these two, the gentleman in the middle is actually a little sharper in his answers. He tends to give us more information, and he seems to be more willing and wanting to give us information. So I think he's going to be more of the face of who we see and talk to more than DMAC even. So I probably should learn his name, because we're probably going to start seeing a lot of him more here. Cyrus, there he is. Cyrus, that's who it is? Is Cyrus. Okay. Yeah, he's pretty good. I like his answers. I like, his the way he wants, and he's wanting to give us information when he can. And but XLs are definitely still a thing. And it doesn't sound like they were wanting to give us any more information than that. So we don't know which cabinet coming up as an XL. But I did watch 19K Fox's stream tonight, and he's thinking it's going to be the Robotron Smash TV cabinet that's our next XL, which would make a lot of sense. You got the twin stick shooters, and you're going to play 2-player. You're going to need that extra width. That's one reason that I really enjoy playing Robotron and Smash TV on my ALU, is that it is a much wider cabinet, and that does impact your experience and how you enjoy those kinds of games. So it would make a lot of sense that an XL would be Robotron, or it would be Smash TV. But there's many other rumors out there I've heard for the next XL as well. I've heard a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles XL is possible. So we really don't know which one it's going to be, but they're still focused on trying to at least release an XL. I did hear in a live stream earlier this year where John D had said that there is an XL coming out this year. So we know there's one coming. Now, on the design, like I'd said in the cabinet itself, Total Carnage has to be on there. Now, one thing I was trying to do a little research on before the live stream was the licensing. So Williams did Robotron and they did Smash TV, but they did not do Total Carnage. Midway did Total Carnage. But I believe Midway bought Williams Electronics Games, and then now Midway is somehow owned by Warner Brothers now. So it gets really confusing and it gets really deep when you start trying to research these licensing deals and how will it work out, because there's so many, it's like a rabbit hole you go down and it's like never ending to try to find out what's going on today and May 28, 2023 with these licenses. But it sounds like it's a possibility to at least get Robotron and Smash. If they can get Total Carnage, I think it's a complete home run. You get 3 solid, really good twin stick shooter games, and it just makes that even sweeter of a deal. And if you guys haven't played Total Carnage, it is my favorite of the 3. I played all 3, and I've already all given them quite a bit of game time so far since I got my ALU. But Total Carnage is by far my favorite. Just the sounds in the game, the weapons, the graphics, all the different things that you're collecting. Like I like the American flags and the jewels and the different power-ups and all this stuff that you're getting with this game. Also, it sounded like they brought some of their developers over from NBA Jam after they finished NBA Jam to help with Total Carnage, which they did not do with Smash. So you're going to notice some of the sounds and some of the things that you recognize or are recognizable in NBA Jam are also in this game as well. So I think this is the most polished, most complete version of these twin stick shooters of the 3. So I think they got to find a way to get this one on there. And I'm hopeful that, Midway isn't going to hang it up or make it more difficult for them. Jason M says, should keep MK on its own Midway cabinet and give us a non-fighter art cab with the rest of the Midway Williams games. So it sounds like Midway Williams, they're still owned by the same company. Who is that now? Who owns that? Because Midway closed their doors in 2008. They sold the business to what I found was Warner Brothers, which we know they have a very good relationship with Warner Brothers. But then you have Eugene Jarvis, who works for Raw Thrills. Yes, he was the creator, the developer of these games, but he owns Raw Thrills, which is a competitor of Warner Brothers games. So how does all that work? It's like there's conflict of interest going on there and all kinds of things. But that's what I guess we leave up to John D and iiRcade 1UP to figure out. And that is one thing that they're really strong at are the licenses. That's one thing they've been able to figure out. So that you got to give them credit when credit is due. And, what would seem like a complete mess to us is something that, they have a vision for and they're able to get done. And Papa Brad's bringing up a good point. Can't you just play all 3 of these on your ALU? You definitely can. But the one thing that iiRcade 1UP is going to bring is they're going to bring the leaderboards, and they may even bring online play. And then updates, the ability to update these games and even improve them further for these LCD screens. Games play differently on LCD as they do on a CRT. So there's things that they can do to fine tune and tweak these games to make them play and look even better. And that's something we learned in the live stream is they're continuously working on these games even well after they're sold, and they leave their warehouse or they leave the retailer's warehouse. They're continuing to update these games and improve them. And Thor says ALU only has 2 sticks, can't play Smash TV correctly with only 1 player. That is true. We can only play 1 player. We're not getting that 2-player experience unless I guess you have the 4-player game deck. And then it's kind of awkward because you're kind of, your sticks are way far apart. So that brings up a good point. You're not getting that authentic experience. Carlos saying, I think Smash TV works 2-player with the 4-player game deck. So you're ahead of me on that one. Jason M said Midway, although it eventually ceased operations Midway Games West continued to exist as a holding entity for its copyrights and trademarks. Its assets are not owned by Warner Brothers Games. Okay, so that's good. The assets are not owned by them. I guess the company is, which it goes through Midway Games West. Okay, so these are all things that are way over my head, and probably things that I, when you guys hear me on live streams talking about licensing, take that stuff with a grain of salt, because I am definitely not an expert when it comes to these things. It is something I'm interested in and something I would like to give information on, but that is just not my expertise for sure, is the fine print and the licensing type issues that arise from these games. Papa Brad's Gaming says, I love Robotron. Bet Thor is right. To do Smash TV, they need 4 joysticks. Very, very good. Yeah, I agree with that. And Octoman PCs, there's just something special about a fully licensed cabinet with artwork. And that is so true, Octoman, that having that full experience with the artwork matching and playing that game, there's just nothing that beats that or can fulfill that feeling you get when you do that and have that experience. And KevGrit saying there is not a way a 1-up Robotron marquee will be better than the Robotron bit LCD on the @Games. And you're probably right. We probably have to go through Zabo's Arcade or some other place like that to get a upgrade to make it look better. But there are some that they did really well on. Like one recently that I liked was Joust. I thought the marquee looked really good on Joust. And you were correct about the Warner Brothers ownership. So I was correct on that. And what I read was correct. It just a little confusing on how the licensing and the games work for these things. But the next thing that I want to discuss with you guys are going to be what's next from Arcade1Up. And this is probably the one thing, I was talking about licensing. I'm not very strong on that. But one thing I am strong on is speculation and trying to predict what's coming next from these companies, especially Arcade1Up. I've kind of follow the, what they leave and just the little leaks and, things that they tell us along the way. And I try to build and formulate a prediction or a speculation based on that information. And I've been doing this now for weeks, months. We're on my 24th live stream, but long before that, I wasn't doing live streams. I was doing videos on this type of stuff. And so it's now just over time built. And I've gotten pretty decent with coming up with this kind of stuff. So I wanted to show you guys here next and what I'm basing a lot of this information on as far as these leaks and, what we can confirm is coming out this year. Some of it came from the live stream on Friday. So let's listen in on this clip here.
Big Buck Hunter Deluxe. If this is a thing, which I assume you're going to say you can't say, when are we going to hear something about something? Like, when's the next time we're going to hear about a new release? Is it months, a month, weeks? Like, what are we talking about?
Well, we have a policy, and this is a strict policy that was enforced after something similar to Killer Instinct happened. And the policy is that we just can't talk about something until it's been officially announced. And in this instance, that falls under those rules. So we have to respect them. Okay. Unfortunately.
But what about when we might hear something? Like, are we talking weeks, months before we start hearing some new releases?
Oh, we have a cadence of launches, and I'll just break the rule. We have a cadence of launches throughout the year. So it's not going to be one big announcement for the rest of the back half. You're going to get probably an announcement once a month or once every maybe month and a half between now and the end of the year.
Oh, okay. So we're going to continue to get stuff pretty regularly over the next couple of months then, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So what we're hearing there is every 1 to 1.5 months, we're going to get a new release from Arcade1Up. So there's 6 months left in 2023. So that means we're going to get 4 more games before the end of the year. Maybe more, maybe 5. But we can say with certainty based on that information, we're at least getting 4 more games, brand new releases, new cabinets at least. Maybe a re-release of a previous game. But we're going to get 4 new products before the end of this year. And these 4 new games, I think I've got pretty much confirmed or leaked or, gathered from all this information on what we're going to see. Wheel of Fortune's going to be next. I don't know if you guys watched my short, but they're using the Wheel of Fortune, which they've previously called the Casino-cade. But now I believe they're just going to call it Wheel of Fortune. They had it in a trailer for one of their recent events with all their already released cabinets. And there was no, banner. There was no marketing information around it showing like this is coming soon or anything. They were advertising it as this is available in the way that they, presented it at this convention. So that, I think, is a for sure next release by Arcade1Up. And he said every month, month and a half. So maybe at the end of July or middle August, we get our Wheel of Fortune. And then a month and a half after that, I think we're getting the Big Buck Hunter Pro, which we already had the leak from Randy's Records on that. I covered that last week in the live stream. Then we have Time Crisis, which I predicted in November. And the last but not least is Q*bert. This is the long-awaited Q*bert cab that we've been talking about and hoping for forever now. I think that comes right before Christmas as well, maybe in November as well. But these are your 4 cabinets. So every month, month and a half, they're going to release these. And it's going to go Wheel of Fortune, Big Buck Hunter Pro, Time Crisis. And Q*bert is the one that I have the least faith in happening is Q*bert. So in that order, and if Q*bert doesn't happen this year, maybe it happens in 2024. But I think these are all for sure bets here on these 4 cabinets. Let's see what everyone has to say on this. Now, Black Cat Arcade says Casino-cade coming. So they did call it the Casino-cade originally, but they've since changed their stance on the Casino-cade. They are, I think, going to just call it the Wheel of Fortune. And that's it, just Wheel of Fortune. And it looks like they're keeping the same design as before. Everything looks the same. They're just going to take that logo off that says Casino-cade. And that's an easy way to get out of the gambling and all that talk that people were hoping for and get it more focused on the title game, Wheel of Fortune. Now, will it include all those other casino games on it? That's a good question. Maybe it's just now, or they're going to limit it just to Wheel of Fortune. So they get out of the casino stuff. They get out of the gambling. Kev Grant saying 3 more rehashes. Let's go. And I know Big Buck would be a rehash. The others would be all new. Stupid Fat Hobbit says Big Buck XL. So that's going to be a Big Buck Deluxe. Now, will it be an XL? They definitely could change it to an XL, but it sounds like it's going to be a Deluxe. Smash TV Robotron. I'm hoping that's the XL. But that's, coming. But I think that's 2024. From the talk and what we were hearing in that live stream on Friday, it sounds like that's a little farther down the road, something that they're just negotiating now. Probably had just gotten that done, and that's why we heard about it on Friday. But they're in the early stages of Smash TV Robotron. So that's not going to be a 2023. That's going to be 2024. And I apologize, guys. I just noticed this on my 4 new releases. I said 2024. Well, at least I covered myself. If someone wants to go back and look at this and they come out in 23 and it says 24, I'm okay. Where if I had put 23, I'd be, locked in on 23. So but on the live stream right now, I'm telling you guys, I think these 4 will come out in 23, but maybe subconsciously when I wrote this, I put 24 because I want to kind of, if they fall behind or they delay it, I'm still covered on that. Street Fighter XL, I definitely think we're going to get that, or a Pro. Street Fighter Pro, I think, would be the better one of the 2 because they could just do it right and sink a lot of resources and money and time into it and make like the perfect Street Fighter cabinet. And then a Double Dragon 2. And I wanted to discuss Double Dragon 2. I had actually brought up Double Dragon 2 on my Arcade1Up this evening because I wanted to include that in this list. And I did watch PD7's video. I talked to PD7 this week about it. And I would like to see that Double Dragon. We saw that leak. But, I was going back over and I was looking at the leak, which came from Toy Room in Miami. and it's the old. They're using the old cabinet design from KI, and I just don't think they're going to go back to that cabinet design to release Double Dragon 2. I think they've moved on from Double Dragon, personally. That's my thought, at least. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that, though. Donovan, good to see you, Donovan. He says, I agree on Wheel of Fortune, but it seems off to think 50% of the cabs we will get the rest of this year are gun games. I like it, but I don't believe it. And I think they're focused on the gun games. For one, they already have Big Buck. They're, working with Raw Thrills right now. They have that active relationship, so it's easy to get another Big Buck out there. But they've got Time Crisis. They got the license. We got the leak early this year on that. But they want to compete with iiRcade. I know iiRcade's having a lot of trouble right now, but they saw the success iiRcade had with Operation Wolf and the excitement and the talk in the community that brought up. And I think they want a bigger piece of that pie. And so they're going to be focused on these shooting games because they see the demand for them. They see the excitement behind them. So they're okay, I think, and they're safe by going with the shooters right now because they know they're going to sell, and it's something people want. It's different. A lot of game rooms out there don't have a shooter in there, or they maybe only have T2. So it's a nice addition to the game room, something that they feel like is a solid, one to produce and that will sell. Because ultimately that's what they want to do, is they want to sell these things and get them out of the warehouse as quick as possible so they can move on to the next project. They don't want to sit on inventory, and I think they think the shooters are what they can get out quickest because there's most demand for those. Jason M says they mentioned one shooter and one racer each year. So with Big Buck, that puts Time Crisis potentially into 2024. I hope you're right, but we'll see. I mean, I hope you're right that we get Time Crisis eventually, potentially in 2024, but 23 would be even better. Thor KC, my 75-inch was about $600. I guess he's talking about a 75-inch TV. Donovan brought up a very good point. We have not gotten this year's Street Fighter cabinet yet. And many predict we're not going to just get another 3/4 on that Street Fighter. It's going to be an XL or a Pro. Maybe that's one of the four. Maybe I was not looking at this correctly. Maybe I could take Qbert out and put in Street Fighter, and that would be the better prediction. Octoman PC says a Street Fighter 2 CE Pro with 30th Anniversary Edition would be spectacular. Yeah, if you guys go back and watch my Street Fighter Pro video I made, I was all about getting the 30th Anniversary Edition on there, getting all those titles. It would be less that they would have to make it. I mean, the game's already made. They would just have to port it over to their chipset, and it would be an easy one to do, I think. And it's something that they do well as Street Fighter. Miami's talking about Double Dragon sucks. I'm not a huge fan of the first one. It's a little laggy, but I do like Double Dragon 2. I think Double Dragon 2 is a solid game. I've not played 3, but I heard 3's not very good. Mickey Yu says, but we play these on a 17-inch arcade and we pay $700. This Killer Instinct Pro has a 17-inch screen, and I'm actually really happy with it. It really depends, too, on the positioning of that screen. Is it tall enough for your field of vision? Because with the Killer Instinct, you guys can see it. And in the future, I'm not going to turn these LED lights on. They don't seem to work very well with this camera. But it's a taller cabinet design, and that brings the monitor closer to my field of vision at 6'4". So the 17-inch is actually fine. Would I like a 19-inch? Absolutely. But the 17-inch does do the job. I'm happy with it. P-Dubs loves Oddmar, is what Miami said. And Jason M is talking about a Capcom is coming out this year. I think you're on to it, Jason M. I could have easily taken Qbert because that was the one that I had the least faith in that one actually happening. And I could plug in a Street Fighter there. And I think that is the better prediction now that I'm looking at this here live on air. Atran, fighting games, yawn. I like fighting games. I like all of them. Carlo says, I'd pick Caddies and Dinos 64th Street Combat Tribes over any DD game. And Mickey brings up a good point. You paid $150 I would be happy too. And that's, what my channel's all about is saving money. I don't think I'm ever going to be, you know how Arcade One Up, they work in partnership with certain content creators, right? We've seen them work with Console Kits. We've seen them work with Michael B, and promote their products and give them review units and all this type of stuff. And I just feel like no matter how good I am at those types of things, or, how good of a review I could do for them, I'll probably never be in position to have those types of opportunities, because my channel is about saving money. My channel is about helping you guys out there find the deals and get the most bang for your buck, have the biggest arcade with the least amount of money. So I'm not a good face for Arcade One Up. I'm not a good, partner for them for those types of things, because I'm not going to help Arcade One Up make money. Yes, I do promote their company. Yes, I do promote their products. I get their products out to more and more people, and what they, more and more people will see their product because of me. But that doesn't necessarily translate into them making more money, because in actuality, the cabinets I buy from Arcade One Up probably cost them money, or they make very little profit on them. And my viewers are going to do the same. They're going to benefit from that as well, get those same deals. So I'm just not, probably ever going to be, Travis MCP or Michael B or Console Kits in that regard, because I'm not what the community calls a shill, or I'm not shilling their product at full price for you guys to run out and buy them. Now, the last thing I wanted to discuss on this update we got from them, the one update, was the Mortal Kombat input lag fix. So Mortal Kombat so you got Marvel versus Capcom, Marvel versus Capcom 2, X-Men versus Street Fighter, X-Men versus, Street Fighter versus Marvel, Street Fighter versus X-Men. We've got Street Fighter 2, and we've got Killer Instinct. So you got all these fighting games, right? But the one that suffered the most from input lag is Mortal Kombat. It's pretty much like unplayable online. If you guys have watched some of the Mortal Kombat fans in our community, it's hard to watch sometimes, because it's just so bad, the input lag. They have fixed that. So Travis MCP is big on fixes and working with the developers to improve these games, and he's always constantly pushing to try to improve these games for us. One thing he does is he likes to watch live streams, and if he can see in the live stream the glitch or the error or whatever's going on, he'll try to get a clip of that video or a screenshot of that, and then he takes that to the developers so they can then fix those issues. Well, one big issue he's been working behind the scenes on is Mortal Kombat and getting it up to par with these other fighting games, and he was successful. They released a patch on Friday which fixed the input lag, and it's night and day. It's much better now, and it's now on par with these other fighting games. And this input lag fix is good for the deluxe cabinet as well as the MK30th cabinet, and then also, which has the same PCB, would be that Joust cabinet as well. So if you have any one of those three cabinets, definitely get online after updating it and see how much better it is, because I've watched some videos on this, kind of preparing for the live stream tonight to make sure I was giving you guys the right information, and everyone is pretty much in agreement that this new input lag fix is a tremendous improvement, and it's what they should have had from the beginning, but at least they went back and they fixed it later on. So this is huge. And the next discussion now is getting the license for the Code Mystics software, so they can then get that on the Mortal Kombat cabs, so they can have spectate, they can have a lobby system, and everything that Killer Instinct has, we could have on the Mortal Kombat cabinets. But there is going to be an upfront investment from Arcade One Up to get the license that they need from Code Mystics. And then also they're going to have to pay the development cost to get that integrated into the game, and working with, Mortal Kombat and these two cabinets. So, but it's definitely all now worked out to where they can do it. They just have to pay for it and make those decisions to invest into it. But it sounds like Mortal Kombat should be getting that, or maybe getting that here very soon. And then hopefully Street Fighter, any other, and he's actually talking about what I thought was interesting. All games can really have this. So like even Joust or Tubin or any of these, 80s or 90s titles that you wouldn't think of would benefit greatly from the Spectate, and the lobby system will also have that as well. So it'll go across all the games that are online compatible on that cabinet. Gregory's talking about Streets of Rage 4 is great on the Switch. I have it on the Switch. Really good game. Donovan says, I can't wait for my KI to arrive. Something happened with the shipping and it was delayed till Friday. But when it comes, I'll play you online. I'm garbage, but it will still be a blast. I'm having a lot of fun. I have actually not played online yet, Donovan. I'm going to start doing that here. I was so busy filming and getting my review out that I didn't even touch or tap into the online yet. That's going to be a whole nother video, a whole nother review is going to be just the online aspect of it. That's how deep and detailed and how much is involved in that online software that Code Mystics developed. And that's something that we could get on Mortal Kombat and other cabinets as well. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade is one of my favorite beat 'em ups. I've heard a lot of rumors, Adrian, of a TMNT XL with possibly Shredder's Revenge on it. And Papa Brad's bringing up a good point that Joust has a terrible screen, as well as this MK30th. Very bad TN monitor. Other than that, everything's great. You can't upgrade the monitor. Gregory, he says, don't forget MCAP Pinball Tournament Black Hole at Games is coming up. And Mickey saying, I'm not being a smartass, and he's genuinely curious. And let's see here. Jason M says the MK30th and Joust have a reasonable monitor swap. Dig Dug sucks even with the monitor swap. Doesn't work very well. That also includes the Pac-Mania as well. Doesn't work very well. But yeah, I've seen the upgraded monitor on the Joust and the MK30th, and it seems like it's a pretty, I wouldn't say simple fix, but it's something within, I think, is if you're able to work on computers in any way, you could probably figure out the monitor. But you do have to decase the monitor, and there's some things in there that does take some technical skill. It's not just a easy, plug and play swap. Tony C says the monitor swap was moderately hard. Being gentle with the ribbon cables was the hardest part. Yeah, that's one thing about when you start getting into these things. Like I'd replaced the main PCB on my Attack from Mars this week. Is as long as you can get everything plugged back in, you're good. But if you start forcing stuff in, something breaks, you're in a world of hurt. You got a much bigger problem on your hands at that point. So you got to be really careful when you're doing this kind of stuff. But I want to close out the stream, guys, on closing thoughts. So I always finish the stream with these, and these are just kind of like more personal things that I'm discussing, less news, less updates, less speculation, more just like personal things going on in my game room or things I'm interested in. And the first thing I was going to talk about was my Attack from Mars PCB. I told you guys last week I was able to source a used one from a guy on Facebook who had messaged me and asked me if I wanted to buy his for $25 with $5 shipping. I said, absolutely. Arcade 1UP doesn't have them in stock. And even when they do, it's going to probably cost me $80, $90. So why not pay $30? Took a little bit of a risk because, the guy may have been trying to screw me out of some money, and this thing may have not even worked, or he may have not even sent it to me, but he actually sent it to me before I paid him, which made me feel really good about it. And then when I got here, I'll show you. Everything worked. I got it plugged in, and everything's working now on my Attack from Mars. I actually did do a small modification. Maybe I can do some videos for you guys showing, or a video showing you guys what I did. But I basically took the board here and I flipped it upside down. There's a fan under there. So I flipped that upside down so the fan's facing the outside, getting more airflow. And then instead of mounting that thing back onto the monitor where it's getting all that heat, I just took some Velcro sticky tape and I mounted it to the bottom of the cabinet away from the monitor. So now it's got a lot more airflow, a lot more ability to breathe and not overheat in the way that I did it. And I'm really happy I can play my Attack from Mars again. And now I'm just kind of questioning, do I sell it now that it works and just kind of cut my losses, or do I just hope my mod works for a long, 5-10 years into the future and I keep this thing? Because I do like it. It's a lot of fun. It looks good in the game room. As long as it works, I'm happy. Stupid Fat Hobbit said, I'd really would like someone to ask Arcade1Up if they lost their Sega license. Like, seriously, so many popular games, and after 5 years, all we have is Golden Axe and Outrun, and that's a good point. 2 Sega games, you'd think we'd have tons of them by now. They made a lot of really good arcade games. The ones that come to mind for me is House of the Dead, Daytona, and Virtua Fighter, Virtua Cop. All these games, why aren't we getting them? Maybe iiRcade was holding that up a little bit. Maybe they were in the negotiations, but it sounds like, they're that's going to be on hold. So maybe that opens the door for Arcade1Up to get in there and get more of this Sega business. Carlo said, sorry, I made the joke, BiggggyD. Moat laughed super hard though. Did you see the clip? I didn't see the clip. There's so much stuff going on right now, Carl, with drama. And, I saw Moat screaming and yelling on WRP, and that just kind of makes me want to, be more hands off and not get involved in all this stuff, because people are getting way too worked up. And, I feel people need to chill. If you look at the major content creators, if we look at 19K Fox, if we look at Console Kids, even Michael B on Super Game Room Dudes, we want to keep it about gaming. We know all this stuff's going on. I've commented on it. They've commented on it in comment sections. But when you see us on camera, it's business. We're talking games. That's what this stuff is about. Anyone else that's doing anything different, they have their own motives. They have their own reasons for doing that stuff, and I support them. And I may even agree with them on a lot of this stuff. But on this channel, and I think most of the major channels you see, you're not going to get that type of discussion. Tony C says, I just put a 7-inch DMD screen on my AOP. I'm dreading setting up the screens again for Pinball Emporium. And Atran says, free Afterburner. So definitely Afterburner. That is one that I had predicted in my What's Next video last year. We still don't have any news on Afterburner. I know it's one that they're really high on, something that John D wants to get done. But I just don't think it's anytime soon or anything in the near future. Jason M says, no Sega Legacy Deluxe, a few games on iiRcade 2 from Sega, such as Space Harrier, Alien Storm. I was a little bit interested in the Alien Storm sale on the iiRcade, but with Friday's news, again, I'm going to hold off. And if they lost the license, wouldn't iiRcade already have a few more? Very good points. So the next thing that I wanted to do for closing thoughts, guys, is if you guys have not watched my Killer Instinct review, I had told you guys I was going to put a lot of time and effort into this, and I actually did. I sat down and I planned it out, and I made my segments, and I did video editing, and actually everything went very well. I started early in the morning, and I finished late in the evening. So I literally spent an entire day on this review, but I think it turned out really well. I even got some phone calls from some of the major content creators telling me how impressed they were, offering suggestions on how I can improve and get more success in the future on future reviews. But this is something I'm going to spend time on and effort on in the future, because it's something I enjoy, and I like the final product. I like seeing that what I created, and this is a video that will also have live far into the future. It'll have a lot of views, hopefully and possibly far into the future. These reviews, they have, they're called evergreen videos, where they continue to get views year after year, because people get, they may not have been interested in Killer Instinct this year, but next year there's someone out there that will be, and they'll go back and they'll rewatch some of this stuff. So I want to focus and put a lot of effort into product reviews. I just got to have the products. I don't have a ton of product to review, but when I get them, I'm going to definitely put the effort and time into making them quality, so you guys can get a good experience and entertainment from it. But if you haven't watched it yet, definitely go watch it. And then last and final closing thought is my 1,000 subscribers. So I'm really close. When I started this live stream, I was at 900. So I'm exactly 100 subscribers away. And I know most everyone that's watching is probably already subscribed. But if you're not, just hit the subscribe button. It'll get me that much closer. And I've already decided I'm going to do a giveaway. And I started thinking today, what am I going to give away at 1,000? And I'm thinking like a arcade 1-up countercade. And I was going to go out and I was going to buy the arcade 1-up countercade today. But then I started thinking, well, what if it takes me 6 months to get another 100 subscribers? Or what if it takes 3 months? You know, there's probably new countercades at that point. So I don't want to buy the countercade right now. I'll probably buy it when I'm at like 990 subscribers or 980. But hopefully I can get there sooner rather than later. I'm very close, and I appreciate each and every one of your support. It definitely will be beneficial to me as a channel. One big plan I have for once I hit 1,000 and the channel becomes monetized is not to just collect money, but to put that money back into the channel. And it's not going to be a whole lot. I've been doing research on, you know, views and videos and what these things net you as far as profits. It's not much. We're talking $10, $15, maybe $100 or $200 a month if you're really good. But instead of taking that money and spending it on myself, I want to put that back into the channel. So get a better microphone, better camera, you know, a high DLSR camera, I think is what they're called, for my reviews. And that's my goal, is to try to take all those funds, put them all back into the channel. That way you guys are getting a better experience. And I think that'll lead to more growth for the channel as well. Because my ultimate goal is to be as big as these other guys in this space, or to be even possibly bigger. You know, if I could, you know, possibly one day be bigger than Retro Ralph, that is my goal. And you guys are the ones that help me get there. And I want to keep you guys informed on, you know, my plans and my intentions in the future as these things happen. But I do appreciate everyone who's joined tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed the live stream and our discussion tonight. And I'll see everyone in the next one. Bye-bye.